Welcome to Crossroads and Conversations. I'm Geeti, an Indian woman living, laughing and learning in US for the past 23 years.
And I'm Komal, originally from South Delhi, India, and now navigating work and family life in Patiala.
Join us over hot cups of chai or coffee as we compare and contrast our lives
Our point of views, living in two different countries.
and explore what makes us tick
What helps us grow as women?
and the little things that keep us sane,
If you are a global Indian woman,
or simply seeking relatable, quirky insights.
we are here to be your best friends who make you smile.
Crossroads and Conversations, an episodic journey of two Indian women saying no to age old advice and expectations, using unlearning as their new superpower, and laughing at surprised faces.
So tune in, sip responsibly while we spill the tea.
Today's episode feels extra special because it's not just the end of this season, it's the conclusive chapter of the journey we have been taking that has truly enriched my heart and soul, and also a step towards making way for a new season. When this idea first came to my mind, it was just a whisper, a thought filled with excitement and honestly a lot of fear too. Would anybody listen? Would I even have the courage to show up, to speak honestly, to share my heart? It felt challenging and very uncomfortable at times. But somewhere between those crossroads and these conversations, something magical happened. This podcast has been one of the best parts of my last year, a space where I discovered more about who I am as a woman, a space where I grew braver with my voice, and where I learned that vulnerability is not a weakness, it's actually connection. So, to every single one of you who tuned in, who shared your thoughts, who sent love and encouragement, thank you. Your support, your messages, your kind ratings on Spotify. By the way, we are rated 5-star on Spotify. Thanks to you all. They meant more than you know. And to my family and friends who listened patiently, offered feedback, who cheered me on through every stumble and high, thank you for believing in me even on the days when I didn't. My sister specially screened all my episodes pretty much before they were released to give me feedback. And a very special thank you to my dear friend and co host for this season, Komal. It's been such a joy to have you walk beside me on this path, bringing your warmth, laughter, and insight to every conversation. And look, here we are, our last episode of the season, final conversation on this initial journey before a short pause so we can come back again in August. And I promise we are just getting started. So let's make this one unforgettable.
Welcome to the final episode of this season of Crossroads and Conversations. We plan to come back in August with some more engaging conversations and maybe bring a newness to the podcast. Because getting better each season is the only way to progress. Let's dive in.
Komal, when we started planning this season, it was really about trying to answer some of those deep questions we have always struggled with as women.
Yeah, like why does time spent with good friends feel almost like a day at the spa?
Yes,
Why does it heal us in ways we don't even realize we needed, Geeti?
exactly. And for me personally, it was also about facing some hard truths, like
Hmm.
why I struggled so much most of my childhood with self worth, with setting boundaries. It's like it's important, Komal, but actually living it and being able to do it is a whole another story.
Right. I get that, Geeti. And I think so many women relate to that. but don't always have the safe space to talk about it openly.
That's just so true, especially in the Asian or South Asian culture, right?
Right.
And that's really what I wanted to create here, a space to share the wisdom we have gathered over our 40 something years of being a woman, a wife, a professional, and hoping that maybe, just maybe, something we say could spark a new thought in someone else who needs to hear it. Or they have been struggling with certain things, and when they hear us, they feel seen, they feel heard, they don't feel so invisible, and they don't constantly question themselves, why am I thinking this? Am I wrong? They find that relatability in these conversations.
And we did, Geeti. We really put ourselves out there.
Honestly, Komal, putting myself out there was probably the biggest reason for starting this podcast in the first place. You see,
Yeah.
I had already kind of gotten to a point in my life where I knew that I'm valuable. I knew how to set boundaries and I was already doing good at that. But oh my God, I was still struggling with the judgment. You know, that
Yeah.
thought that nags at you when you do something. What are people gonna think? And so I was like, you know what? I am going to create a space where I will put myself out there
Hmm.
and people will probably judge me. And you're most worried about people who know you and they see your podcast and they're going to be like, what is Geeti doing? What is she up to? Right? So I wanted to put myself out there knowing that I would be judged, but learning not to care, to do it because I believed in it, because I knew in my heart that if nothing else, I would at least learn something about the process and something about myself.
And you did. In fact, we
We
did.
did.
Geeti, this thought was with you for a while.
Yes.
And I still remember, Geeti, that when we met in 2022, we were playing a game where a question landed on you to share a secret ambition. And you answered that you wanted to have a podcast.
Oh, wow. I didn't remember that, Komal, but I think you're right. I don't know why, but I think I had a lot to say, so I wanted a podcast.
And when you told me you were looking for a co host in 2024, I just could not resist offering to be one. Although I had absolutely no idea what I was saying yes to.
But I'm so glad that you said yes, because this would otherwise still be a pipeline dream. I think when you said yes, my wheels started going, my mind started churning that, okay, now I have two people who are interested and we are, similar in
Hmm.
thinking, we gel along very well. So now I need to just get going and get this started.
And Geeti, you don't know this, but after I said yes, and I thought about what it meant, I had two thoughts going on.
Okay.
On one hand, I had so many fears. I didn't know a thing about podcasts. And I am not someone who thinks clearly because my thoughts are all over the place. So aligning them for a podcast was a foreign concept for me. And I am definitely technologically challenged.
Yeah. Oh my God. I know that.
That's your nightmare, I
Yes.
suppose. I was unsure about my English speaking also. And I was very conscious about being on screen, showing myself and my face to the world.
Well, then I must say you were very brave because you said yes instantly.
Yeah, I did. But do you remember? I asked you if it was audio or a video podcast.
Yeah. I mean, it was a audio podcast to begin with. Anyway, we still are. So, okay, you had all these fears on one side. Then what made you say yes?
Yes, but on the other hand, I also had this strong faith that if Geeta is saying I can do it, I will be able to do it.
Oh, wow.
Geeti, strangely, I did not have faith in myself, but I had faith in your faith, surprisingly.
I'm so glad that you did. So we are here.
Yes.
But I don't know, it might not always be a great idea because I can come up with crazy ideas. Komal, I think that's the magic of love and female friendships, though.
Yes.
That's why we opened our podcast with the magic of female friendships. If you have not yet heard it or tuned into it, please make sure you do that. It's one of our most popular episodes, actually. That's why, I say that the podcast season we've had, it has taught us so much. We learned so much about trusting ourselves, about trusting each other, about resilience, about connections, about showing up even when scary. And now, looking back, it's been one of the most rewarding experiences of my life.
True, Geeti. And it's only the beginning of all the shifts we are still going to create for ourselves and for every person tuning in. Geeti, I just can't believe we touched 1000 episode downloads a while ago. And we are just 8 episodes old.
I know.
I get so tickled that 1000 people actually tuned in and listened to what we had to say.
I know, right?
Right.
That's always so amazing. But before we start talking about our wins, Komal, let's talk about the challenges because some of them are pretty funny stories.
Yeah,
I did not know, and I still don't know anyone who does a podcast. So, figuring out how and where to get started was the first challenge.
right.
I realized we will need a cover page. So, then that had to be designed. And remember how many iterations I did sending to you because I
Yes,
designed it myself?
yes,
And then choosing our music. Oh my God, like which music would kind of show the vibe of our podcast?
right.
Figuring out equipment we needed from microphones to softwares to record and to learn editing. It was all challenging.
Geeti, in fact, our biggest challenge is and has been the fact that we are in two different geographical locations with a time gap of 11 and
Yes.
a half hours. Finding time together as two busy women so we can sit and decide on episode topics, record the episode, create the promo snippets has been a challenge we still struggle with.
Yes, just like today. Because when I can take time in the evenings, you are busy getting your kids ready for school in Patiala. And when you have the time, I am busy because we are in two different time zones. Weekends get busy with social engagements, family time. Komal, in these 9 months since we have been podcasting, we have had to manage our podcasting journey through crazy schedules, vacations with the family, sicknesses, life problems, and then days where we were too tired to come and record, so we had to cancel.
Because of that, Geeti, we actually skipped 1 month because it became impossible to connect at that time.
Yeah. But every challenge has come with a lesson too, Komal. We have learned to pivot. We also learned that sometimes even most important things have to wait, and you have to pay attention to your body and mind and practice self care. So that month, we decided to skip.
Hmm.
But it also meant that we came back again and wanted to keep moving forward instead of giving up. So we came back with more episodes the next month.
Yes.
We have been trying to manage our time better and we have tried to stay on schedule with our podcast for the most part.
Right.
But I think in all of this, things would have been a little easier if it wasn't for, guess, our next challenge.
My net connection,
Oh my God, yes.
it created problems even today.
Oh, yes. So do you remember, Komal, that we had started our podcast by recording on a platform that was online? So we both recorded together. Your file automatically gets uploaded and I can just grab it from there, right?
Yes.
But we did the whole episode and your file would just not upload because the net was not working properly. And we lost that whole episode actually. It was so frustrating.
Yes, I remember that.
But then that added us deciding that we'll choose Audacity and we'll record locally on our laptops. And then you will send me your audio files so that we can make sure that the file is not lost.
Yes, I remember such frustrating times. I didn't know that my net connection was so poor until we started podcasting, Geeti. And
I wondered how you function.
in fact, in effort to make things better, I switched my net provider 2, 3 times and my speed still did not improve.
Yes, I remember.
Eventually, we found out that the wiring was bad and I ended up changing the entire underground wiring for the net. And thanks to this podcast, dear, I now have two different providers on two floors so that I have options.
Komal, the day you finally changed the wiring, and since then the net has been so stable, it was such a happy and momentous day for our podcast because it literally changed things so much. It became easier, and we were able to create video promos and have productive sessions in one sitting. The recording that would sometimes take 2, 3 hours, we were able to wrap it up in like 45 minutes. And the second one that again played a big role in making things a little difficult has been
Ah, yes, of course. I know how techno savvy I was.
I literally some days felt like pulling my own teeth.
I
Do you
remember that.
you remember when we decided to use Audacity
Mhm.
so you can record on your own laptop because of
Yes.
the net issues, and I was trying to help you download and set up Audacity.
Hmm.
Oh God, that was the day I had this realization that this woman, when she left Delhi to Patiala, she also left all her tech savvy brains in Delhi. Because this is not the girl I knew in India when we were, in college together, who was not challenged in any area for that matter.
Geeti, I was not sure if Audacity was recording or not. So you asked me, Komal, do you see up and down lines you see on an ECG machine on the Audacity screen while recording? If yes, then it is recording.
Yeah, because your poor net connection was not even allowing me to do a video call, so I can
Yeah.
walk you through it.
Hmm.
So the best thing I could do was talk in your medical language. If you see ECG like squiggly lines, or and remember when I asked you to save the file and share it using Google Drive, you asked me, "Drive? Where will the drive come from? Do I need to buy it?"
Yes, still remember. I heard you count 1, 2, 3, 4. And I was like, what is she doing?
Had you log into Gmail on your right hand side, you see 9 dots. And if you click on it, it drops down the menu where you can see a triangle called drive. So I was counting the dots to tell you that do you see 9 dots? Click on that, Komal. And then do you see a triangle? Click on that. That's the drive.
Oh my god. I feel ashamed sometimes. But look at me now, Geeti. I can actually handle all this techie stuff by myself and not just survive, but thrive. Somewhere along the way, I stopped being scared of new apps, gadgets, all things technology. Because honestly, Geeti, what's the worst that can happen? There's always an undo button, unlike life, where you can just control Z your mistakes. Now I genuinely enjoy exploring new tools. Plus, Geeti, I even started recording my podcast sections independently, which saved you from having to hold my hand through every edit.
I am seriously so proud and low key shocked at how fast you picked up everything, Komal. Most importantly, you were so willing to learn. You never gave up, even when it felt like we were two blindfolded people trying to assemble furniture with no manual. Honestly, there were moments at the beginning where I wondered if we could pull this off.
Yeah,
You depended on me to guide you, but in reality, I was also figuring things out as we went along. I had so many worries about the podcast quality, about the edits,
hmm.
but eventually I just told myself, you know what? I'm just going to do it scared. That's what I tell myself these days.
Yes,
Because, like you said, what is the worst that can happen? Maybe the first few episodes would be a little rough. We would learn, we would redo it, we would tweak it, and we would get better.
right.
Komal, my life has genuinely changed ever since I started asking myself that one simple question in tough moments: what is my worst case scenario? And once I make peace with the answer I get, the fear kind of just loses its power, honestly.
That's a good one, Geeti. So true. In fact, one of the wildest parts of this podcast journey was straight up facing my fears. Like, seriously, staring them in the face and pretending I was cool with it. Geeti, I used to worry so much about whether my vocabulary was good enough. Here I am doing a podcast with someone from the US, and I'm over here Googling big words to sound smart. And I kept thinking, am I even built for this? Geeti, I started practicing speaking in front of mirror. and recording myself to tone down my loud expressions and intonation in the podcast.
Really?
Yes, I did.
I can imagine the hesitation, and the doubts because this US girl also wondered the same, Komal. Do I sound right? Are my pronunciations correct? I hope the podcast flow is good and we sound genuine.
Oh, yes.
One day I wondered if I have a weird accent that does not belong to India or US. Somewhere in between, I don't know. But Komal, you got so good by the second or third episode, and the hard work we both put in started showing, I think.
Yes. And Geeti, it did not end at that. Because the moment I started feeling a little confident about my speaking, you wanted to do video promos.
Oh God.
It was damn scary. And the moment I found out we had to record videos, my soul left my
Oh
body.
my God. That's too funny.
Yeah, it is because I had always used social media to watch people do cool stuff, not to be one of those people, Geeti. So naturally, I started doing this cute little thing where I'd record a video, not even look at it, and just send it to you like, good luck, ma'am.
What?
And when you'd send it back for approval, I'd approve it without watching it. Because watching myself talk on camera, oh my god, a nightmare fuel.
Are you serious? So
Yes.
it was just me actually doing the approval part?
Yes.
Oh my God. That's cheating.
And then you said, let's make a video podcast. My brain short circuited.
I guess that
Like,
what happened.
wow. Okay, are we trying to win an Oscar now? But hey, it turns out I survived. Barely. But I did.
We have not yet progressed to a video podcast, but I'm glad I know how you feel about it. Komal, honestly, I do want more. I feel it in my bones that I want more for us, for this podcast, for everything that we have built with so much work and love so far. Hopefully, one day we will be turning this into a video podcast and laughing and crying on camera and talking about things that matter, things that touch people's lives, and reaching even more people. I hope that we will be creating more content that is fun and it cuts deep, makes people feel seen. So, you, my friend, need to buckle up and call that fearless or sometimes scared part of your soul back because we are going to need all of it. And this time I will check whether you have seen the video or not.
Oh my god. And yes, I know it hasn't been easy, Geeti. There have been moments that felt impossible. The
Yeah.
steep learning curves, the tech issues, the doubts. But tell me honestly, hasn't it been beautiful too?
Komal, every time we heard from a listener who said that she finally called her childhood best friend after our episode on friendship or after our video of reuniting in Delhi this year.
And every time someone tells us they found the courage to set a boundary with their sister in law after hearing our conversation on self respect.
Or remember that one time when a listener proudly told us that she started keeping aside some of her own hard earned money from her business instead of handing it all over to her husband for the first time because we helped her remember and realize that she's worth it and she deserves it.
Yes.
Every single message like that feels like a tiny miracle, doesn't it?
Yes. And if it's just one life that shifted because of what we put out into the world, that's enough reason to keep going.
And you, look at you, Komal. You're like this mini celebrity now in your town. People know your voice, people know your thoughts. You are touching lives without even realizing it. It's not just a podcast, Komal. It's us growing, healing, daring together. And it's amazing.
True, Geeti. It is. Geeti, whenever I now go in public, I absolutely live for the attention I get because of our podcast.
I know you do.
And people talk about it, discuss it. And honestly, I love every second of it. It feels amazing when someone comes up to me and asks if I did a special course or counseling to get the clarity we share on the episodes. Or if I could lead group discussions with women.
That's nice.
Really, these little moments really mean a lot. I also cherish small wins. When we hit our first 250 downloads, then 500,
Yeah.
and eventually 1000. Giri, it genuinely felt like we had come such a long way. Remember, Giri, I used to get this warm, happy feeling just checking how many downloads the first episode got.
Yeah.
And it was a mix of pride, excitement, and disbelief.
I remember. Honestly, Komal, when we launched our first episode, I had no expectations. I thought maybe 10 to 12 people would tune in.
Hmm.
Just the family and a few friends out of love and pity, maybe.
Oh my God.
But here we are, being heard in 19 countries and 146 cities.
It's fabulous.
I mean, who are these people? I don't even know that many humans. It's crazy, but it's also the best feeling.
It is.
I swear every time I see a new city pop up on the map of our podcast, I just sit there grinning like an idiot. It makes me want to do more?
Yes, true, Geeti. I share the same
Yeah,
feeling. And of course, life gets messy. I mean, between two teens, a full time job, a husband, and a house that seems to have its own demands. It's a
it's
lot.
true.
Some days I'm just barely keeping my head above water. But even with all that, I want to keep trying, Geeti. I want to keep pushing myself, even if it's just inch by inch.
Or download by download. Honestly, Komal, I am not sure if you always find success outside the comfort zone, like everyone says, or what exactly is a definition of success because it changes for everyone. But I do know that when I step out of my comfort zone, even just a little, that's where I find my clarity and my courage. And that's good enough for me right now.
Oh, yes, you are right, Geeti. Maybe the magic isn't about being super successful or famous. Maybe it's just about showing up. Scared, messy, tired, but still showing up. And I'm so glad I get to do it with you.
Me too, Komal. Komal, this podcast, it's been more than just a project for me.
Hmm.
It's like it helped me openly acknowledge my thoughts, my beliefs, express who I am, why I am the way I am, and what I actually want for me or for women out there in general. And how far am I willing to go to get it?
Same here, Geeti. Working on the podcast made me slow down and really look at my own mind, you know?
Yeah.
And in normal life, we are just running, doing without really thinking. But here I could finally trace my thoughts,
Hmm.
where they came from, why I even thought that way, and whether it was actually me. Kirti, I started seeing which thoughts felt true to who I am, and I held on to those. And the ones that didn't, I went back to their roots. And slowly, gently, I started letting them go.
Funny, Komal, isn't it? For me, this podcast happened because of years of self reflection,
Yes,
but for you, it became the path to it.
so true, Geeti. Well said. I think a lot of my thoughts just needed acceptance. So many of the limiting beliefs I carried were just society's voice in my head, and they were not mine. This whole journey, it helped me see my worth without needing someone else to confirm it for me. Before I used to bend myself, shrink myself just to fit in, Geeti, and just to be accepted.
And now,
Now I know I don't have to become someone else to be enough.
because the people who love us, Komal, they love us exactly as we are.
And for everyone else, no matter what we do, we'll never be enough. It's a big, big lesson, Geeti.
Komal, I could not have asked for a better person to do this with. Our deep talks, random debates, and seriously, all the ridiculous laughter. The absolute madness we get into when we sit huddled over that tiny phone screen and a laptop. That has been the real bonus for me. Like beyond everything else, that's the part I didn't even know I needed.
Same here, Geeti. Honestly, thanks to this podcast, we started meeting way more than we ever met.
Yeah,
And suddenly, it wasn't just let's catch up when we can. It was like, see you again tomorrow. Keep the mic ready, and I will bring the stories.
yeah.
And somewhere along the way, our friendship went from hi, hello to if I don't tell you every single random thing happening in my life today, I will actually explode, Geeti.
Yeah.
Now it's like if I don't rant to you about the most random stuff, like how my kids annoyed me today, or how I overthought a text for 2 hours, I legit can't sleep.
I know.
Geeti, you have basically become my unofficial therapist. And sorry, no refunds.
Who said anything about refunds anyway, huh? There is, look, you are mistaken. There is no such thing as free therapy here.
Okay.
I get my entire payment back when I call you at the weirdest hours, begging you to talk me down from my perimenopausal rage before I murder someone in the house. And so it's a fair deal.
Yeah.
So, Komal, here we are at the end of a chapter that neither of us could have written alone. A chapter full of messy tech troubles, crazy schedules, soul bearing conversations, and a whole lot of laughter and fulfillment. The kind that makes your stomach hurt and your heart full in the best way.
And honestly, if this is what facing fears and figuring things out as we go looks like, then I'll take it. I'll take every recording glitch, every awkward promo take, and every is this even good enough moment. Because it gave us this, Geeti, this bond, this community, this version of ourselves that's just a little braver, a little wiser, and a lot more alive.
And you, to you listening right now to us, whether you have been here from the very first episode or you have just stumbled across us somewhere along the way, thank you for sitting with us, growing with us, laughing, crying, and just being part of this beautiful chaos because you made our dream real. And if you have a small, tiny dream somewhere hidden between the layers of roles and responsibilities and lack of time and busy life, maybe take a pause. Maybe talk to a friend to give it a little bit more form and shape and take that first step. It might not be perfect. It might not work out in the first few times, but the journey is going to be fulfilling. You will be proud of yourself of taking those steps. And you will learn something along the way, just like we have. I think you will regret more if you don't try than the regret you'll feel just because you're making mistakes. And I can tell you this from experience.
And this isn't goodbye, it's just a little see you soon. We are taking a small break, but we'll be back in August with new stories, new lessons, and a few surprises up our sleeves. And trust us, if you thought this season was honest and messy and magical, you haven't seen anything yet.
So until then, keep believing in yourself, keep having those courageous conversations, and keep showing up for yourself even when it's hard. And don't forget to laugh a little, even if it's just at yourself.
From two very grateful, very giggly, slightly chaotic friends, thank you for meeting us at the crossroads and staying for the conversations.
We hope you enjoyed today's episode. We welcome you to join our tribe on Instagram at Crossroads and Conversations. Let's continue the conversation.
Remember, your life isn't just about reaching a destination.
So make your own mistakes, chart your own path, and enjoy the journey.
We will see you again at Crossroads for another conversation.
Until then, this is Geeti.
And Komal, Signing off.